Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Stray Pixels podcast, not currently sponsored by Audible, so I guess I'm stuck reading books for another week.
Oh, no.
I'm your host, Colin Buchanan. I'm a staff writer here at Noisy Pixel, and I'm joined as usual by my co-staff writer, Nathan Mejia, and our editor-in-chief, Bailey C. Mangle.
Hi.
How are you guys doing this week? It's a loaded question.
It is. I'll let Bailey start.
We're managing, we're all pulling through,
Yeah.
I'm playing Dark Souls and SMT5, my favorite franchise games.
Bailey is currently coping with the fact that he doesn't own Elden Ring by playing Dark Souls 1.
My favorite franchise.
I'm fully expecting that by the time you get done with Dark Souls this time for your article, that you'll just be all in. You're like, bro, I just love Dark Souls now.
I'm a Dark Souls
I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it to just like suddenly click with you.
Yeah.
Like if I can play this game and I can't beat the freaking Kingdom Hearts data battles on Proud, not even crit. Like I feel like
I'm gonna be a toxic tweeter.
It's just all
you're gonna yell at the kids who want the easy mode.
Come on.
Yeah, it'll just be all Solaire just wiping his brow saying get good.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun. Really, you just need to take part in jolly cooperation.
Jolly cooperation.
Jolly cooperation.
So yeah, obviously stuff's going on in the world right now. We're all kind of hanging in there, and I was kind of despairing for something to talk about this week until within 12 hours of each other, we had a Digimon Con stream and a Pokemon stream. And they went pretty differently.
I gotta tell you, so Colin, we were in the noisy Pixel like voice chat, and Colin was with me for the Digimon event and the Pokemon event. I've never heard him so distraught in my life.
It wasn't quite that bad. Like in the Digimon one, I was at least entertained by the giant Gamamon mascot costume. I would die for him. I would kill everyone for him. But okay, so we're gonna tackle Digimon first, because that one was a solid hour of crushing disappointment.
We were gonna be there, we were prepared to be there for 6 hours, man.
Like, and it genuinely felt, I already made this joke earlier tonight, but it genuinely felt like every other outlet had been sent a notice to not bother covering this event, so we were the only ones that did. Like, Japanese publications didn't even cover Digimon Con.
Really?
And you know what?
We're the only people, I'm pretty sure, who were like live tweeting the event.
Yep.
Aside from maybe like a fan site or something, like we were the only ones. No, like Gamatsu or like Silicon or like those like big sites, like we were the only people who were doing it.
And it turned out to not be, the most worth. So, okay. So the approaches to these two different streams were very different because Pokemon buried the lead as much as freaking possible. Digimon got it out of the way immediately. We have no release date for Digimon Survive, the game that was supposed to come out 2 whole years ago.
Monka,
Here's a new trailer. Also, it's going to be mostly visual novel.
Monka, reading.
Colin, Digimon will survive.
I've heard that so many times, and like I want to hope, but I'm not sure because I was already going over the history of the company that's currently working on it right now, which is Hyde. It's not encouraging. And like this game, so for those who aren't aware, which I can't imagine there's very many of you, but Digimon Survive was a tactical RPG that was announced way back in 2018. It was announced in a Japanese magazine, and then Bandai Namco did a stream where they announced it to American audiences. And basically it looks like another like a further attempt to go in a more like the audience matured with the franchise direction with the video games, where it's very much intended for, let's go with like the Danganronpa Zero Escape crowd. That looked like it was the tone that they were going for. And then all of 2019 goes by. We get nothing, not a damn thing. 2020, the pandemic hits. And in July of 2020, we find out that the game is delayed to 2021.
Yeah.
And then in spring 2021, they were supposed to announce another update. Didn't happen, and it wasn't until July of 2021 that they announced that it was coming out in fiscal year 2021, which ends next month, and that's not happening. We again went radio silent, and now the game has been officially delayed to 2022, and we don't even have a release window. And at the same time, well, not quite at the same time, but very shortly thereafter, they announced a what to us will be the third Digimon story game. So after Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, and that was it for that announcement. All we got was there's another one in development, and they spent an hour of this stream reiterating that.
He answered like a bunch of like random questions.
Like they were doing a Q&A. They were doing a Q&A with like fan submitted questions from America and from Asia. And the answer to almost all of them was, we have no plans at this time to make this game. We have no plans at this time to port the older games. We'd like to do a remake of Digimon World, but there's no plans at this time. We can't do an open world Digimon game. It would cost too much money. It was so...
It's pretty sad, yeah.
It was crushing.
Let's just forget that Next Order exists.
That was what I was thinking, was like, wait, they already remade Digimon World 1. It was Digimon World Next Order, and no one bought it. No one cared.
Yeah. It's because like I love Digimon World games, but their style is way too close to the digital pets that nobody really likes, because you have to go through generations of Digimon before they even become viable for battle.
Yeah, and they can just die.
Yeah,
they can just perma-die. So for anybody that doesn't know, Digimon World, like the original PS1 game, was kind of an extension of the Tamagotchi form factor that the original Digimon toys had, where you would basically raise a monster up from birth and it would battle on its own. So if you initiated combat, the Digimon would decide what to do. It wasn't like Pokemon where you pick commands and you give them to it. You give them a vague instruction and they may or may not do it.
Yes.
So it's very much unlike your Pokemons and your Monster Ranchers even, and that's kind of why it didn't catch on the way that Pokemon did in the United States, because it's kind of abstract.
It's weird because Digimon, that style of gameplay is meant for older audiences, but looks like it's for kids, and that the difficulty in those games are high. You're going to have Digimon die on you constantly in the beginning.
And it almost felt like that was like a tone they were going for Survive, because obviously the game is called Digimon Survive. They immediately set forth, hey, here's this is going to be an extremely serious in tone game. There's gonna be permanent death of your characters and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they reiterated that for about 15 minutes on this stream.
It's going to be serious, Colin. You got to get prepared, man. You got a year to pump yourself up.
Well, and it's funny because Digimon has always been, in my eyes, the grim, darker version of Pokemon.
Kinda, yeah. I don't really disagree with that.
What exactly happens in Digimon that makes it dark? So I don't know anything about Digimon, man. I don't know anything about Digimon.
You're not even. Wait, we were gonna make you keep up the facade and pretend to be a Digimon fan.
Okay.
That you love season 3 the best, because that's when the autistic girl goes crazy and starts destroying the world.
Nathan.
That was problematic.
Nathan. Oh no.
She's autistic. They actually say that.
I know.
All because Leomon died.
Leomon always dies. That's the thing.
Leomon always dies.
Oh no.
How about
so let me put it this way. So in the first season of the Pokemon anime, the most well-known sad moment is Goodbye Butterfree. It's Ash releasing his Butterfree and it flies away with all the other ones, and you're like, oh, they're friends, but he has to let it go to be with all of his friends. In Digimon, in the first season of Digimon, very famously, a major character gets killed off, like
no.
on screen, and then that
Oh, no.
changes the tone of the whole rest of the show going
Oh,
forward.
wait a second.
Bro, about season 2, the Digimon Emperor and
Yeah, and then in season
Wormmon.
2 you have like the darkest villain that the show has seen yet, and it kind of just escalates from there. Tamer is absolute madness, and
Yeah.
it's a 10 out of 10. But they made this for children, and they made this to traumatize children.
Yes.
I didn't know it was that dark. So like as a kid, like I was vaguely like aware of like Digimon. Like I didn't ever really get into it, but
Yeah.
I didn't know it was like that.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
it's
that.
really good. I know people don't like the reboot series very often, but I thought it was still enjoyable. It definitely wasn't the original, but it was good enough.
No, I mean, we can do like a whole episode on just Digimon itself at some point, because there's
a lot to go over,
plenty to talk about. But in this case, I mostly want to focus on like what we all witnessed last night, us and like 6,000 other people, because this was not a well-viewed stream. Even though it was in English and Japanese, I would like on YouTube, it capped out at 8,500 people. And then as soon as the game stuff ended, that number dropped by like 3,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So it doesn't seem like it was very well advertised. Not a lot of sites were even covering it, obviously. And so Digimon video games in the last like 10 years. So in the United States, in the last 10 years, we got what the heck was the fighter one? Was Rumble Arena? Was Digimon Rumble Arena?
Which was
not
good.
Not Rumble
like
Arena, All-Star Rumble. Excuse me.
All-Star Rumble, yeah, which was good. I remember buying that on the GameCube. I think the original version of that. That was a fun game.
So All-Star Rumble was somewhat different, and it like I kind of compare it to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, except a little bit worse than that. It also came out. It also came out kind of in the middle of a dark age for the fandom, because the show that was on at the time, Digimon Cross Wars, it was Digimon Fusion in the United States, was the hardest that the show had ever leaned into its intention to like appeal to kids and sell toys before anything else. So it was not a great time to be a Digimon fan, and they shoved this game out and said, hey, if you guys want better Digimon games, you have to buy this one. Like it was an explicit statement that if we wanted all the games that we were about to be missing out on, we had to buy this. Thankfully enough people did that we then got a couple years later Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, and Cyber Sleuth kind of started a minor boom in interest for the franchise. So Nate, did you buy it at launch?
Not at launch. I bought it later. I bought it on sale same time I bought Next Order thing, and it was one of those things where I had kind of like you said, it was the dark age of Digimon, and I kind of was resisting going back because I thought it was a little too kiddie. And then I got into Persona and noticed they had used the same character artist from Persona for Cyber Sleuth, and I went like, you know what, let's go do this. It's going to be a fun time, and I wasn't wrong.
So Cyber Sleuth is very much it's very much closer to Pokemon than the old Digimon World games. It's Pokemon meets Persona is basically how everybody described it, because it's very much that in tone. It has a T for teen rating, and it leans into that pretty heavily. And it's I don't want to say it's heavily strategic unless you desperately want to make it that way, but it kind of jumped on like the rock paper scissors battle style, and a lot of stat management that was really intense. And obviously, you know, there's the whole culture of Pokemon fans that you know, effort value, train their Pokemon, so very much leaning into that. And the story mode was pretty lengthy, and it came out for the Vita in Japan and PS4 and Vita in America, and then eventually the Switch, along with the not quite a sequel, which is Hacker's Memory. I like to describe it as kind of like the 10-2, like the Final Fantasy 10-2, because it reuses a lot of the same locations, and it takes place the first part of it at the same time as the original game, and then kind of just expands on what was happening in other parts of the story before splitting off into its own thing. And then after that was Digimon World Next Order, which, as we said before, is a remake of, it's actually technically not even just a remake of the original Digimon World. It is a remake of Digimon World Redigitized, which was already a remake of Digimon World. And Redigitized was a PSP game that never came out in North America, but did get a fan translation. So that was one of the most like hotly requested titles for a long time, and at this point it's not coming here. They actually did specifically mention the 3DS sequel to Redigitized during the stream and specified, no, we can't bring that to modern platforms because it's a 3DS game. So, and Next Order came out in North America in 2017. And that was the last Digimon game that has been released.
It's been 5 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Wow. I like vaguely recall when Sleuth came out. I do actually own that game. I just never played it. But like I do recall when that was like being like advertised. I didn't think that was thought that was so long ago.
It was so long ago. Nate, did you want to say something?
Yeah. And to add to that, even before then, we were getting games that were titled Digimon World that were actually part of the story franchise on the DS and 3DS, I think.
Yeah. No, just the DS. Digimon
just the
World
DS. Just the DS. You're right.
So in the meantime, we have gotten the collectible card game has been re-released in North America. If you've never played it, it's very fun. It's a little bit like Pokemon with a little bit more back and forth play going on. But from what it sounds like, so Digimon Survive, the reason why it's been in development hell so long is because they had to restart development basically from scratch when they changed studios. And what exactly happened is pretty under wraps, never been publicly reported on. But between that and the fact that there were no screenshots of the new Digimon story game, kind of sounds like there's a lot of mismanagement going on in that wing of the company.
I kind of see it because Bandai has always been kind of really weird with their stuff because they definitely recently have been leaning more towards their merch and toys section. Part of this is because Kamen Rider is becoming a little more popular in the West, so they're gearing up for the toy releases on that and stuff like that. So I think they're just kind of all over the place with their games division that aren't like Elden Ring or Scarlet Nexus and stuff like that. Stuff that are firmly in a well-established studio.
Yeah, and then you have the people that they conscripted to make this game.
Conscripted them.
Yeah. So I looked this up yesterday and was going down. So Hyde, the company that is currently enlisted to finish production on Digimon Survive, they made Crash Boom Bang.
No.
Oh, I've never even heard of that game.
So Crash Boom Bang was a Crash Bandicoot themed party game for the Nintendo DS. If you've ever watched any Cat Icarus videos ever, you have at least heard a joke about this game. It's awful.
It's great, man.
It's
Don't let
like a
Colin
solid
deceive you, Nate.
2 out of 10.
It's 12
and then they kept making DS games. They made Spectrobes, both of the Spectrobes games, which nobody remembers.
Buggers, they're great.
They did some assistance on Rune Factory, Tides of Destiny, and Mugen Souls. They made the Windows edition of Final Fantasy 15. And their 2 most recent game credits are Disney Tsum Tsum Festival and Marco and the Galaxy Dragon.
Tsum Tsum is actually great, though. Tsum Tsum is actually good.
So
What in Tide's Destiny isn't?
I don't really know how this company got picked, aside from we have no money to make this game.
Look,
please
they're the
make
underdogs,
something and push it out the door.
They're the underdogs. We're gonna have some faith in them.
Like what this reminds me of is Konami passing around Silent Hill to as many cheap developers as possible because they didn't have the money to pay a team in America or Japan to make a new game.
A lot of reason that too is that they got a lot of backlash for the Western made ones.
Yeah.
Team Silent was dead.
And like, so thankfully we haven't seen a recent extreme downturn in quality of the released games, but that's mostly because there haven't been any. To correct myself from earlier, so Hacker's Memory was the last released game, but that was 2018. So it's been like 4 years, a little bit more than that. So that is kind of an insane amount of time to wait, considering the way that the series was like actually seeing a bit of a boom in popularity after the original game came out in North America. So have you guys seen any other franchises that kind of like hit it big and then went away? Went in the closet for way too long.
No, Kingdom Hearts, KH3 development.
KH3. I mean, I don't necessarily want to say that because like it's not like Kingdom Hearts' interest was dormant. Like between the original and the release of Dream Drop Distance, there was a pretty steady flow of games coming out. Like there's like 10, 11 games in the series.
Yeah, there's always a game coming out, or at least a game announced, something to always look forward to. And you always kind of knew it, and then they'd come out, and then they released their plans that Kingdom Hearts is a yearly franchise.
Yo, Dark Road?
Asterisk. That's soon? Why we get so many re-releases of 1.5, 2.5.
Dark Road soon? PS5 version soon?
Yeah, man.
Yo,
I've said it. I'm gonna say it now for re-recorded. If 1.5, 2.5, and 3 PS5 versions don't get released this year or for next year, I don't know. I'll for Patreon content. I will stream the cloud versions for Patreon content.
Shameless plug here. Videos of the data fights and Yazora on the cloud are on the YouTube channel right now.
Shameless plug for the outlet that we're posting this with.
Yeah, for our outlet, man.
Yeah, man.
For us, we're plugging the thing that we're already working on. So Nate, given any amount of experience with the last several games, what do you think the studio could potentially do better?
So I think going heavily more into a visual novel aspect will probably be better for them in general, considering that they seem to mostly deal with party and puzzle games. Tides of Destiny, they said they helped with, and Tides of Destiny is famously the Ruin Factory game where everybody's like, yeah, it's all right. It's really mid, and I kind of agree with it. There's a lot of weird decisions they made in that game, but I think going with this and maybe even axing almost completely the gameplay might probably be for the best at this point. Either that or cancel it.
So like that is actually a pretty interesting perspective I've seen, because so during the stream last night, we were doing like a bunch of tweets as they were announcing stuff.
Yeah.
And the biggest tweet that popped off for us was I think it was the chief producer that was like talking, right, Colin? Yeah. Yep. He was saying that the like division of gameplay would be like 70% combat.
No.
Oh no, 70% like text adventure and 30% combat. Which to me is like, that's like like I don't know how these games normally are, but that's more of like it's like clearly like I'm not sure if you played like the
Utawaru Mono.
Yeah, it's like a lot.
Yeah, I've heard about them. Yeah.
And that was one of the comparisons that was being made. The one that I kind of immediately thought of was, that sounds like from what we saw in the trailer, that kind of sounds like Danganronpa, because
Danganronpa?
like you consider the proportion of exploration and visual novel stuff versus the class trials. That sounds like about the same the same division of content. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know that I'd be up for them completely axing the actual. I don't want to say the actual gameplay because visual novels have gameplay, but like the combat system. What worries me is that the combat's going to be really half-assed. So the other massive comparison that was being made was 13 Sentinels. And 13 Sentinels is kind of known for like the combat mode in the game being a little bit lacking in depth compared to the story mode, because it's so very easy to just cheese all of the fights.
Yeah, those I don't like. They don't require like any thought. Like there's like higher
Just put
modes you
down
could do,
turrets.
but you just put down
Just put down turrets. Just flood the field with turrets and you'll make it. And so what I'm concerned about is that all of this is going to be built up with, you know, there's going to be permadeath. You're going to recruit Digimon to your team, and it's going to like kind of suck and be boring in comparison to the actual story. But I also don't know how many people like actually wanted just a visual novel out of this franchise, because I feel like there's so much appeal to being able to raise and train and battle Digimon. Like if they made a Pokemon visual novel, wouldn't that be kind of baffling?
Yo, that'd be kind of cool though.
Well, because like this is also assuming that means thing, because I always thought survive, the main part, was going to be the story and the battling kind of a backdrop to everything. That's why I kind of said what I said, but you are right, it would be kind of baffling for them to do it.
And then considering like the absolute radio silence has been kind of a running joke in not just us, like definitely Noisy Pixel, but honestly a lot of nerd circles, is where is Digimon survive? Like we haven't seen anything about it. And it's kind of nuts to me that like they don't even like keep us drip fed with like, if not trailers, then more concept art, like more information leading up to like more substantial reveals. Like the fact that they had no visual material whatsoever for the new Digimon story this far into development might have actually been the most shocking announcement of the night for me. Was we have nothing. It's going to have something to do with the 12 Olympians, and that's all you get. That is 100% all you have, except it's not Cyber Sleuth 3. So it's like we got one extremely vague talking point and one thing that it's definitely not. And that is as much as we know about this game 3 years after it was announced.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's starting a new discussion about what it really means to be in this level of development hell, because it seems pretty clear that there's just a lot of mishandling of this side of the franchise going on, especially compared to what we now have of the anime, where like we've had a pretty consistent Digimon anime releases for the last several years now. We had all the Tri movies come out, and then we had the reboot series, which was not very well regarded, but now we have Ghost Game airing, which is much more well regarded by the fandom. So it feels very much like this wing of the company is pretty severely lacking.
Yeah, especially since I've also been getting pretty good on the toy front too. I mean, we have the Vital braces now.
Oh yeah.
And we even got a couple of releases of the Digivices. I saw that they're going to be giving out not giving out, but selling new Digivices from, I guess, the newest one, I think.
Yeah.
And then,
well, the newest one is the Vital bracelet.
Okay, then it is the Vital bracelet. I saw something different. I think it might have been.
They're putting out new versions of like the older virtual pets.
Okay, yeah.
Which they've been doing for a couple of years now. So it's kind of interesting that we've gotten like what would otherwise be really niche products that are actually coming out in North America for the first time in a very long time. But they can't seem to get a game out the door.
Monka.
These games when you got all this other media.
It's the freaking Sonic problem, man. It's a Sonic problem.
Don't invite that energy in.
Yeah.
That's gonna make these games suck.
Digimon is becoming Sonic. That's our like new clickbait title.
Oh no.
Yo, man, are we gonna get like does that mean we're gonna get a buddy cop movie with Agumon, Goblinmon, and fucking Chris Pratt?
Yeah, that'd be hype.
Cut it
That'd
off.
be hype.
Cut it
That'd
off.
be hype.
Cut it off. And by it, I mean my arm, so that I can bleed out and not have to imagine this world anymore. Okay.
Review that for the site, like unironically.
Okay. On that note, we're going to take a quick ad break while I process the things that I have just heard. I feel like I say that a lot. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the very next morning and the news that we got the day that we're recording this. So we are going to be right back. Okay, so second half of the episode, we have a whole other presentation that took place one sleep later, exactly one sleep later.
Mm-hmm.
So we're recording this on Sunday evening, as we usually do. And this morning, there was a Pokemon Presents that was announced pretty abruptly. I think it was like, what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
They were like, hey, be here for this announcement. And we were all like, wait, what could you possibly have to announce? Didn't you just come out with a game like 5 minutes ago?
Naive, Colin, naive.
Yeah, man.
Colin didn't know. He didn't know.
Yeah, man. Game
Neither did
Freak was...
fucking you. Fuck you, babe.
I knew, Colin.
You didn't know. You didn't know shit.
See, Colin, you're still walking while Game Freak is using the 3D maneuver gear.
So in between the first part of the podcast and this part of the podcast, Mr. Mejia reacted to the
Yeah, we made Nate watch it. He hadn't watched it.
Nate watched it.
I hadn't watched it yet because I was asleep at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Obviously, he was spoiled because how could you not have known what happened?
His world got turned upside down. He learned that Detective Pikachu 2
just
got
like
canceled.
the Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
just like the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, bro. I was in Philadelphia like right before I started watching that thing, and now I'm in East LA.
Yep.
Oh, shit. You travel far.
Okay, so recap. This presentation was 14 minutes long, which excellent. One fourth of the length of the other one. Good, cool, love it. And then 12 minutes of that was announcements about mobile games.
Not 12 minutes. It's like 8.
It was so long. Me and Bailey were watching this one. We were like, is this a tweet? I think this might be a tweet. Like, is this worth writing a piece about? No.
Like, the Arceus thing was a pretty cool deal. They're adding new story content for free.
Arceus and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl getting updates, one of which was the Shaman ticket, and both of them available today. Cool. I guess that's cool. Yes, if you're watching this after the end of March, you already missed your Shaman ticket, assuming you bought Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl. But we were kind of despairing over like, wait, like, is this all they had? Is this 2 consecutive presentations where like they've got basically nothing really interesting to say? Could this have also been an email? And then we see a security guard wandering down some dark hallways, and we're like, what the hell is this? Billy was like, is this Detective Pikachu? And I was like, maybe, but I don't think so, because they just canceled the second movie. And then it wasn't. Then it was the weird prelude.
Was in danger, man. He was like in the room. There was stuff flying everywhere. He was scared.
It was a weird prelude. So I think that it was a throwback to the ads for the original games, which were very similar. But it was a prelude to a bunch of aerial shots of a new 3D environment. While me and Bailey were like, wait, is this Arceus 2? Are we already doing Arceus 2? And then it turned out it was very much not Arceus 2.
Yeah.
Because the words Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet popped up on the screen, and we were like,
yo, we were pausing so hard.
Oh, okay.
And then the words "coming late 2022."
Yeah,
And
so
Nate
that was the thing that Nate
appalled.
didn't know. That was the thing that Nate didn't know. We just heard him react to that, and he was like, "What? What are you doing? What is happening?"
Nathan,
No.
gotta calm down.
3 major Pokemon game releases in 14 months.
Yep.
In a time where we are already seeing the Pokemon Company and Game Freak have the opposite problem to the people making the Digimon games, where we are seeing too many games that clearly have not had enough time to be worked on. Discuss.
It's clear why all those early footage of Arceus looked so bad now. They did not have the time or resources to do a full-fledged Pokemon game with another full-fledged Pokemon in development hidden.
So,
Yo,
Bailey,
knows,
do you have any thoughts before I drop my theory, my hot take?
Gen 10's being made right now, and we just don't know it, guys.
Is it Gen
They
9?
don't have the manpower for that.
Gen 10, Nate, beyond what our
Ben
eyes
10?
can perceive. Ben 10. All right, so like, I'll be honest with you, I think this looks a lot better than how Arceus does,
And a lot better than how Sword and Shield did.
like
frankly.
dramatically better. Like, it's still pretty. Like, if you watch the trailer, like, there's parts of it that look pretty rough. Like, the windmills look really bad.
Yeah.
But like, the models look significantly like better than they used to. So like, I actually, so like, this is the first time I've been actually excited for a new release, like for like a new mainline release in like over a decade.
Yeah.
Because I've actually been really enjoying Arceus. It's the first game I've enjoyed from them in like a long time. And if this is more, and they've been calling it like an open, like they've been calling it an
open world game.
Yeah.
So, which is like Arceus. So if it's like that, then, you know, I'll be pretty happy probably.
Yeah.
So in honor of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I, for those of you watching the YouTube video, have gone with bisexual lighting today as opposed to the blue and yellow gels that I usually have up. But my theory for how this happened
there we go.
is that they weren't actually working on 2 games at once. They were working on 1.5 games at once, and Pokemon Legends Arceus was just their testing bed for this new engine.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. It also makes sense why Arceus is taking place in a ancient version of the Diamond and Pearl region
Of Sinnoh.
Because I think they could, because like they could, I think the idea is that they could excuse the lack of like NPCs and like outside structures, you know.
And like it ends up making like honestly more sense the more you think about it, because one thing that we do know about Game Freak from basically all of the drama that was going on before Sword and Shield is that Game Freak is not the size of other AAA game companies by any means. They are severely understaffed for being, you know, the people making the games that primarily drive the most profitable media franchise in the world. And so it seemed pretty clear that they just couldn't make a Pokemon game that was to the scale of something like Breath of the Wild. And then Legends Arceus came out, and I think we were all pretty surprised to find out how soon it was coming, because it was announced last summer, and then it was like, oh, January, and we were like,
Nani?
January? A Pokemon game coming out in January?
But like not even like a month or two out from the remakes.
It was 2 months after BDSP.
Like it was so weird. I even said back, it was like they're giving none of these games room to breathe. Arceus is going to fail because Diamond and Pearl is going to eat into it, or Diamond and Pearl is going to fail because of it.
Which thank God it didn't. Arceus, we don't have initial sales figures yet, but Arceus appears to have sold extremely well. It was sold out in a lot of stores.
I think it sold 6.5 million within like the first.
If you have a source for that, I'd love it.
We actually wrote about it.
That's pretty incredible.
Because we did write about it.
Okay, I must have
source myself at noisypixel.net.
Source me. I'm the editor-in-chief of noisypixel.net, reputable gaming information source.
So actually, Nintendo actually did tweet about this. Like, on February 3rd, they announced that the game sold 6.5 million worldwide.
And that was in 1 week.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's in like less than a week.
So these games sold extremely well. So it's very nice to see that we're going in this encouraging direction. I like Nintendo, clearly based on what we just watched, was really hoping that Legends Arceus was going to do well, and a lot of people were going to like it.
Yeah.
So the big topic on everybody's minds, there's been two things going around, which are the new starters and people debating on whether their evolutions will become new furry sex symbols. Because we need hot new Pokemon in my area. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Meet hot new Pokemon singles now.
But more importantly, is this going to be more like Sword and Shield, or is it going to be more like Legends Arceus? Because I think that a lot of people that are our age, like, kind of looked at Legends Arceus, played it, and went, "Wait, is this what this could be? Is this what a Pokemon game that's not for kindergartners looks like?"
Yeah.
Arceus is very interesting because like it strikes a very like delicate line between like it's not dark enough to like just appeal to us, but like there's like little like tidbits that like make it not like super like confined to kids, you know? Like it's not like Sword and Shield, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, like adding stuff like crafting mechanics, like this is Nintendo taking note of the games that kids are playing now and actually evolving the series to include them. And I don't think that we're going to see crafting in Scarlet and Violet, because we're in the modern day now, and there's not a dramatic need for it when you can just go up to a store. But I do think that like it would behoove them to figure out how much they can possibly fit of all those systems from Legends Arceus into pretty much all Pokemon games going forward, honestly.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced like a new base building system in this game based off of Legends Arceus, where you go collect items and stuff to build stuff for your base.
Bailey, you sounded like you had something to say.
I am actually kind of more excited by the prospect of exploring like a modern area and like the Legend style, you know, because there's a lot more you could do with that, I think, than just like, because like there's only so much you could do with like nature, especially with what Game Freak is like capable of now, you know. So I don't know, they could do like a lot of like man-made structures and stuff. I'm pretty excited. Like that town they showed off was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like the prevailing opinion is that this region is going to be based on Spain, which I love that. That's a really rich source to be drawing from.
Yeah, it's a really good source.
And that's also influenced the names of the new starters, which I can't remember off the top of my head.
So the fire one is Fuecoco. I don't have a Spanish accent.
I love him.
The duck is called Quaxel, and I forgot. So I wrote about them in the article. Give me 1 second.
And Weed Cat. It doesn't matter what its actual name is. It's Weed Cat.
It's Snoop Lion.
The cat is called Sprigatito. Sprigatito. I'll put it in the chat.
It's a like. I get what they were going for, but that one's kind of a mouthful. It does not feel good to say.
No, yeah, because it's 100% trying to get gato in there, which does mean cat in Spanish. Then sprig, and then I don't know what the heck they added the to for. Oh, sprigatito.
Yes, so it's little.
Nate just expanded.
Sprigatito. Yeah. So if you don't say it with a perfect Spanish accent, it hurts.
It sounds bad.
It hurts. You
And even then, we didn't roll our R's, so it should be sprigatito.
We should have Nate review the games when they're out.
I'm not. That's not my decision. That is. You gotta yell at Bossman about that.
Noisy pixel drama.
And then I am going to be buying it, but we do probably have to buy our own codes.
Probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
It will make you and Jacob fist fight over it.
Yo, Among Us.
Yo, is it reviving that Among Us game?
No, a fist fight. I said what I said.
Fly Jacob over from Australia.
Yes.
So like an RKO
It'll only
out of
cost
nowhere.
about 10 times as much as it'll cost to buy both of them copy of the game.
Imagine that. Like what if he's coming down from the thing and I just come up off the top ropes, get him on a headlock, and just slam him to the ground?
They'll never see it coming.
He comes off
They'll
the plane.
never see it coming.
The second he's off the plane, Nate just like jumps off and he just like slams the RKO on him. Oh no, Jacob.
Okay, so I at the moment I still have not personally gotten to play Legends yet because
Really?
my backlog is kind of enormous right now.
Fake fan Colin.
And then I just impulse bought Elden Ring because I started hearing that it was one of the best games of all time.
Peer pressured.
Yeah, indeed. But I'm curious to hear from both of you guys, aside from like, you know, just the more man-made and modern setting. If you guys could pick any one concept from Legends Arceus to bring forward into Scarlet and Violet, what would it be?
Me and my friends have affectionately called it the warrior hidden in the mist technique. Which is the stealth catching mechanics. I think those would be really cool to bring over to catch Pokemon without having to battle them.
Like I think I'm the exact same way on that. Like I think we've kind of gone past the need to do like random encounters to catch Pokemon now, you know?
That's one of the most dated elements in Pokemon like to this day. Like most of these other games got rid of random encounters generations ago. Like the only real holdout is Dragon Quest, and like that's kind of the point. Is Dragon Quest is an old school RPG that'll always stay that way.
Well, which is weird because trainer encounters for Pokemon I always felt worked more like the random encounters because those were the only battles that were worth it.
Yeah, especially since you see so little experience points from fighting Pokemon that you encounter in the wild that like most of the time, I think most of us just end up running if it's a thing that we already have. Like this isn't worth the time unless you're specifically going out of your way to grind.
Yeah, exactly.
So
how about you, Bailey?
I think like leading on to what Nate said, like I think what Pokemon's always been lacking, and that's like started to been remedied in Legends Arceus is the focus on more exploration, because it always feels like it's always been like combat prioritized at the expense of having the regions themselves feel fleshed out, and now
particularly over the last couple generations.
Yeah. And then now it feels like they're like actually starting like to like fully realize what these regions could be, because like so in Sword and Shield, I think that game's a prime example because of how like linear and straight that game is, like how they really had to like break out of that at some point.
It like and when Sword and Shield was being marketed, I remember one of the first things that we saw was the wild area, and everybody lost their goddamn mind. They were like, "Oh my god, it's an open world Pokemon game! It's going to be so much bigger!" And they had to go out of their way to be like, "No, it's going to be just as big as the 3DS games. Please don't get your hopes up for this."
At least they tempered expectations a bit there.
They tempered expectations. I approve of that, but also like they showed off all of this, and then it turns out that it's basically just the 3DS games with like one area that's more big and open, and that's it. And the trees also look like they're from 3DS games.
There is that conspiracy theory that Sword and Shield was like a 3DS game first.
I wouldn't doubt it, actually.
Wouldn't shock me.
It wouldn't shock me. Yeah.
No, it would shock me.
But like something that kind of hit me was it feels like it's been really soon since Sword and Shield. It looking at the timeline, it actually hasn't been. Like the average for time between generations of Pokemon is about 3 years. The only one that was longer than that was the jump from Ruby and Sapphire to Diamond and Pearl, and then Diamond and Pearl to Black and White.
Because around those were started the remakes, and so you get a remake a year or two after the versions, and then the third version after that usually.
But then they streamlined it more. X and Y came out in 2013, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire the next year, and then Sun and Moon came out in 2016. 3 years. And then Sword and Shield came out in 2019, 3 years, and now we're getting Scarlet and Violet 2022, 3 years. So,
Yeah.
but I think that the cycle starting this soon for the promotion is what's kind of like hitting me. And it's like, this might be, I haven't quite looked into like how early the other games were announced, but I think it's like just the acceleration, the fact that we just saw the remakes and Legends Arceus, it kind of feels like an overload. Like, obviously there's people that are like, yes, take all of my money. Like, I cannot possibly buy enough Pokemon games. If a Pokemon game came out every day of the week, I'd buy all of them. But like, it is a little bit overexposed. Like, and it's kind of wild to think about, considering like it's been 5 whole years since the last Legend of Zelda title that wasn't Link's Awakening. It's been 4 years since the last Mario game. We haven't heard anything about a new Mario game. But like pretty consistently, we've been getting 2 Pokemon generations for every system since the DS. So that is kind of like a feather in the Pokemon Company and Game Freak's cap, is they're one of the few companies that's still managing to put these games out just as quickly as they ever were.
Yeah, which you could say might be at expense of quality in some cases. I will say Sword and Shield's most interesting aspect was the cut roster. I just wish they hadn't lied about it and just said, "Hey, we thought this would be a better game if we cut the roster down," rather than them going, "Animations are hard, man." And then it was a lie, because they're still using the same animations from Pokemon Stadium.
Has there been news on like what the roster will be like for?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. But like, so what, just kind of touching on that, one reason why Bailey and I, when we were watching it, were so confused about what we were looking at is because they were showing like so many old Pokemon that we were like, there's no way that that's what this is, right?
Yeah, and like the more I think about it, I think they probably did that intentionally to just like hype up the surprise, like, oh, it's a new generation. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but like, I've kind of talked about this a bunch of times in other places, but I've never really mentioned it on the podcast, and that does that leads into something that's kind of disappointing me already about this generation is the obvious emphasis on the older, more nostalgic Pokemon. Because in my big Pokemon hot take that isn't actually as hot anymore. I think a lot of people are looking more favorably on this now. The best move in the series history since like Gen 2 was Gen 5 not letting you use any of the old Pokemon until you'd beaten the game. That all by itself made it feel like fresh and new and interesting in a way that basically none of the games after that I think have, because in all of these games I just end up defaulting back to the same team as soon as I can catch them. And that's on me, but like it's more interesting when I'm like limited as a player to using and building teams out of like Pokemon I'm not already extremely familiar with. And I think that Sword and Shield could have been an opportunity to do that if they were going to cut the roster down so far. And it seems like we're missing another opportunity to do that, but I don't know. I'm gonna remain optimistic because I cannot go through another whole year of being a Debbie Downer about Pokemon. It's exhausting.
I think it's a bit too soon to like be sure of that yet.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Probably, but like I said, like seeing the trailer and seeing like the several dozen older, especially Gen 1 Pokemon that they were showing, it's like, oh, we're doing this again.
Gen 1's poggers, man.
It's like, so go ahead, Nate. I was
just gonna say it is, but like, I came from Gen 1, Gen 2 being my favorite for obvious reasons. I still in love with Totodile. That is still my favorite Pokemon.
Friend. He's a friend.
And like, even I'm kind of like, can we evolve past Gen 1?
The closest parallel that I can think of is something that the physical Yu-Gi-Oh community has been kind of dealing with for the last several years, which is Konami, in like every set that they want people to buy, they will reprint Blue Eyes and Dark Magician in like a new foil every single time. And it's like remarkable, like they've gotten like 3 different new rarity or new art or new rarity and new art Blue Eyes and Dark Magicians in just the last like 6 months. And it gets kind of exhausting because it's like, okay, we know the old stuff, but like it would be nice if you'd give this much love and attention to some of the newer stuff that people want to see. Like even if it's not like just the new Pokemon, I would love to see more Pokemon get expanded evolution sets that weren't just from Gen 1. Like it's really cool that Scizor has, you know, his new Hisuian form, but like it doesn't seem like as much love is being paid to like the Gen 3, 4, or 5 Pokemon, because people don't gravitate towards them as much, and they might if you actually put any effort into.
Because like with Gen 3 there are still some really good Pokemon designs in there. I would say like it doesn't get kind of dumb until Gen 6. That's when I'm like
But even then, like let's revisit some of the newer stuff if we're going to have to go back and you know, mine for nostalgia. Like you know, X and Y are almost 10 years old now. Like that is now nostalgia territory. So that's insane. I'm so old.
But Black and White are the next ones to be remade.
Who knows when that'll happen? Because it was 7 whole years between Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. So we'll see if that actually happens. But I would be hyped for it. It's that I've professed many times that is my favorite generation for many reasons. And if Nintendo and Pokemon Company and Game Freak can move back towards, you know, large explorable regions, a lot of post-game content, and a challenge level, frankly speaking, because the challenge level in the Gen 4 remakes and in Sword and Shield is like, it's for babies. And there's no way to make it harder.
Didn't Black and White have like I think they had like a hard mode, right?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but did they?
Right?
Yes, you have to beat the game first, and you get an item.
It seems like it would be so simple to just put a toggle on, but no, they want you to have the experience share on all the time for all your Pokemon, so all of them are over leveled, and you just blaze through the game.
You got to play the game really quickly. You got to play the game their way, Colin. You know.
I mean, this kind of goes back to Nintendo wants you to experience things exactly their way, and no possible other avenue can be explored. But like you look at like, you know, what the fans have done with Pokemon. There's so many like ROM hacks and stuff that have difficulty sliders or specifically advertise themselves as being higher in difficulty, and it's like, clearly people want this. Just give us a hard mode that we can pick from the beginning that you know will let you play without being brain dead.
And it's not even like that hard. I think too is that Game Freak has always been trying to figure out what would make the Pokemon formula not stale anymore. I think they are trying to hear and listen to player feedback. They're just not sure what it should be, because, you know, competitive Pokemon players want something different from normal everyday players and everything. Like, there's no reason why we got introduced to Mega Evolutions only to dump Mega Evolutions in favor of Gigantamax. And now we're probably going to dump Gigantamax for...
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah. Because that one is because everybody was like, this is stupid. We don't like it.
Yeah, no one likes that.
I liked it enough. I thought introducing Gigantamax...
You're a simp.
What do you mean I'm a simp?
Nate's a Nintendo simp. That is true.
Yeah, for Nintendo, not for Pokemon.
I don't know, I don't know, Nate. I don't know.
Okay, I thought it was actually like a neat little breakup that they added fields, and that you could change the field with like a Gigantamax and stuff like that.
Sure, but like it was also like an extremely underutilized concept in the game that you like would mostly interact with for the sake of grinding for more level candies because you somehow didn't already have enough level candies.
Yeah.
And it's like it, you know, not to be that guy about it, but like, do you remember when like having a level 99 Pokemon like took any amount of effort?
Bro, I still remember when I took me 3 hours to get out of like Viridian Forest to go into Pewter City Gym because I was sitting there training up a freaking Metapod that only knew Harden and screaming into the void.
I guess it's kind of a question I'm kind of curious about is so the option of experience share is always preferable, but like, do you guys prefer on or off?
I would prefer the ability to turn it on or off, obviously, but honestly, if it always has to be on, I'd prefer to like be able to just go back to the way that it used to be, where you had to pick a Pokemon. Because having it on your entire party, like they started that in X and Y, and I remember like beating X and Y. That was the last Pokemon game that I actually beat, and thinking, wow, that was so easy. There was no challenge involved in that because your entire team is always over leveled.
Yeah.
So I like if I had to include it or not include it at this point, I would probably say no, because I think a lot of people are sick of it.
I think for that, I'd go with the reverse and say always keep it on, but your experience values go down more.
Oh, so sure. Like maybe like a third for all the Pokemon that are in battle.
Yeah. Like some kind of regulation like that will keep it thing, because Pokemon is the only RPG where we'll have this conversation of whether or not your entire party should gain experience points from a battle.
Yes.
And it's kind of insane that we have these.
But it's because like Pokemon is the only series that has thus far just had the absolute hardest time like balancing the game to the point where it feels like they gave up on it. Yeah. And like I think the ultimate solution here is something that I have seen several like extremely good fan hacks do, which is you can have the experience share on for all your Pokemon, but you can choose to have it cap out when you have a certain amount of progress in the game, so that you're not over leveled. Like you can like the experience share will work up until, let's say, level 12 until you get the first badge. Like something like that would make a lot more sense to me, because otherwise it happens by accident. You just do what you would normally do and you go to a gym and all of your Pokemon are 3 levels higher than anything that the leader throws at you, and it's like, oh, I thought this was supposed to be like hard. Oop.
I mean, we're a long way away from Brock just coming in and killing you.
Yeah, Brock's Onyx just laying waste to you.
Yeah.
There is actually something kind of interesting. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen this, but so the protagonists for Scarlet and Violet, they have different outfits depending on which version you're playing.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And there's a big theory that they're from rival schools or something, because they're like school uniforms.
Yo, Pokemon 3 houses.
Yo, Pokemon 3 houses. Which one is going to start the Christianity war?
let me see if I can find it. It's so God damn it, Nate. You know, they're getting more adult with Pokemon, man.
Yeah, man.
But the protagonists look younger than ever.
Yeah, they're going to have an 8-year-old going up to God with a sword at the end of it.
Yeah. These protagonists look really young.
They look extremely young, and I'm really hoping that that's not indicative of anything else.
I think that that's just more thing, because I've said this a lot, is that the Pokemon trainers from past versions don't look like they're 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah, they don't look that way to me.
They look like 15-year-old kids.
But like something that I tend to think about is like, do kids want to play as like kids their own age, or do they want to play as like people they perceive as being like like, you know, more mature and more capable, because I think that that's something that, like, that's why there's all these Nickelodeon and Disney shows where they're clearly marketed toward like kids that are under 10, but all the characters are teenagers, is because like you want to envision like, this is what my life is going to be like when I get older. So
and even
that's
going
the direction
through,
I'd go in.
like even Americanized here for kids, Power Rangers feature teenagers, and Kamen Rider, which is for kids, like 3-year-old kids, feature people who are in the medical field in one season. You know, they're all adults in their 20s, like going through college, going through this, going through that. And it's really weird. So maybe you're right. Maybe kids do want to feel like they're just like an adult or more capable.
I keep going back to it, but I think Black and White got this correct, because that was the game where like your character like basically looked like a teenager, and so did all of their friends, and like they were facing like, you know, more dramatic teenager problems in their friendship together. I don't know. I just thought that was the right way to do it.
Maybe,
but
all the Gen 5
we'll have to yes, I will admit to that. We'll have to see.
I'll have to see.
But since we are running down on time, Bailey, what is your dream feature for Gen 9?
Dream feature for Gen 9?
Yes, can be anything. I don't care if it's a meme.
Honestly, I kind of want to see like HM sort of come back, but like in like a field way. Like they're not like like moves you learn. So like kind of like how Arceus did it, like with the navigation. But just like more ways to like travel the world that aren't tied to moves, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like going underwater.
Bring back dive.
Cool.
Yeah, bring back dive.
That'd be kind of cool.
Dive, waterfall.
Like if we're not gonna tie HMs to Pokemon moves anymore.
Oh yeah. Oh. Okay, sorry.
What, Bailey?
Sorry.
What?
Dark road news.
Oh my god. Okay. It can wait. It can wait. Nate, what's your dream feature? Go.
Dream feature, go. Let's okay. Actually, real talk. I would like to see more done with evolution. Arceus is starting it in a good way, where you can choose when to evolve your Pokemon once they've reached the requirements. I would like to see maybe it go a little more the way of Digimon, where you can go forward and backwards a little bit, or you know, breeding your Pokemon has them inherit more than just, oh, this one has the effort values, good. Have them, you know, actually be like, oh, okay, we got a new Pokemon, that this Pokemon you trained wasn't so weak, but this one's more powerful because the other one, you know, you got better stats, and train it up that way. I think that would make more emphasis on the breeding and the training.
Mine, I've had this in mind for a while, is stop making Pokemon forget moves. If you want to only let me use 4 in combat,
Colin.
That's fine.
Colin, Arceus fixed this.
I know. Now they have to bring it into the actual game.
They do.
So,
oh my god,
we'll
Bailey,
we'll
quit talking.
I'm just gonna wrap it up. Okay. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Stray Pixels podcast. We post every Tuesday on your podcast app of choice and right here on the Noisy Pixel YouTube channel. What was your least, or sorry, excuse me, cut that. What one feature from Legends Arceus do you guys hope makes it into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. If there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future episode, you can leave a comment also under this video or talk to us on Twitter. You can find me, Colin, at the Arcane Ranger. You can find Nate at Less Than Nathan, and you can find Bailey at Orpheus Joshua, or the site itself at Noisy Pixel News. Stray Pixels podcast is brought to you by NoisyPixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to bring you the latest news, reviews, previews, podcasts, and more. Please like, subscribe, and follow to keep up with our future content, and we'll see you guys next week.
Jamais.
Yeah.